Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner?
Qualified, you know. I
To
didn't
be there.
say again.
To be there.
Yes, I felt I was more than qualified to earn an appointment to Annapolis. You know, I was a football player. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
most students that most students that I associated with in my company, I felt like I was just as smart as they were, maybe even smarter.
Mm-hmm.
So I never had a feeling they were looking down on me, and
Okay.
that's basically as a result of growing up in Louisville and living in Fort Knox, then Valley Station. So it
And
wasn't.
Beecher Terrace. So that meant that you could whoop some butt if you had to.
It just I just never felt that I was out of place. You know what I mean?
Oh, okay. Okay.
So and I always said that my time at the Naval Academy was like almost like a racial nirvana. You know, it was good, positive. Basically, as long as you did the work at Annapolis, then you got to pass. I mean,
Okay.
if you weren't willing to do the work, then eventually they would kick you out. But
Okay.
I felt like I was able to do the work and playing football. And then now going into the Marine Corps was different though. All right, so that's where the difference is. I think,
Okay.
the history of the Marine Corps, which I teach. The racial history is that the Marine Corps was very very reluctant to accept Black Marines, as your stepfather could attest.
And when you said you were the first black from Kentucky to go to the Naval Academy,
Right.
JT, my stepfather,
Hmm.
was one of the first to go to the Marines from Kentucky.
I can believe that.
Yeah.
I can believe that because
He actually could not um, sign up in Kentucky. He had to go to Cincinnati.
yeah, I can believe it. So Marine Corps, but the history of the Marine Corps just said that, and the customs in the Marine Corps, they it took them much longer to integrate than the other services, and
Mm-hmm.
I didn't experience. I don't think I experienced bias and discrimination in the Marine Corps until I was much more senior. As probably lieutenant colonel and colonel. There were things that I couldn't put my finger on
Right.
that didn't make sense. And of course, I published my book.
Okay, let's talk about the book.
Well, the book is there. It is. But
Okay, Camp Lejeune. Okay,
it's
all right, because Camp Lejeune,
yeah, it's
that's where the Monfort Point Marines train,
that's
correct?
right. That's right. So I published this book in 2015, and it's just a journal. But you can't write a memoir, to be honest with you, as a Black serviceman without mentioning race at some point. You just can't. And so those are things I mentioned in my book, but it's not a book about racism in the Marine
Racism per
Corps.
se. Okay.
It's a book about a Black lieutenant colonel with a family, you know, uh, a military family, that is from Mom and VT and Pam and Larry and Rodney and Keith.
Now,
Keith
see,
Snoop.
I didn't know Rodney was in the military.
Well, here's the thing. Now, let's just take a step back. All right, and here it is. You got
Okay.
Virgil Thomas. All right,
Okay.
he's Korea and 2 tours in Vietnam. Soldier. Our mother was a civilian nurse at Ireland Army Hospital in Fort Knox, so she was,
Okay.
doing a lot of military types of things. Pamela joined the Air Force the year I graduated from the Naval Academy, and she served 22 years in Air Force.
Wow.
And she retired and lived, came back to Louisville, and then she passed away in 2007. Right? She has
Yes.
a son, Sean, who's retired senior master sergeant in the Air Force, lives in El Paso. And then Larry was drafted in 1967, so he went to Vietnam.
Okay.
Right?
So
And then,
Larry and VT went
yeah,
to Vietnam.
no, yeah, they did. They
Yeah.
did. They did.
Okay.
Then Rodney, when he graduated from Eastern, he was in ROTC. All right, and he came into the Army as a lieutenant, left as a captain. I think Rodney served 6 years in the Army.
Okay.
Okay, so and then there was me, and then like I said, Keith is pseudo military. You know, he's like a commander in chief of everybody.
Well, he runs a pretty tight ship down here in Louisville, Kentucky.
He does. He does.
Yeah. I mean, Keith
Yes,
and I got a lot closer when he was kind of doing the caregiving things with Miss Fran,
yes, ma'am.
and I was doing the caregiving with Miss Emily.
Right.
So it's something about when family say you're my kin folks, not necessarily and my skin folks. You know what I'm saying? That it was just very easy for him for me to offer what I knew, cause caregiving is not for the faint of heart.
Yes, ma'am.
You know, and Keith and I used to swap stories. You know, cause I know Miss Francis was running him round the corner, and Miss Emily would have me on my knees. You know, in tears. Now I think I'm tough,
Yeah.
but Miss Emily would have me on my knees because she wanted to know who
But
died
you
and
was
made me
holding
the
it down. You
president.
was holding it down. You was holding
Huh?
it down. You was
Well,
holding it down.
as best we could,
Yeah.
you know,
Yes.
because they held it down for us. Look who
Mm-hmm.
we've become. Look how proud
Yes.
your mom had to be of all of her sons. You know,
Mm-hmm.
all of you. I mean, my cute dogs. I'm your whoop whoop Delta sister. You didn't know that, did you, Keith? Huh?
I'm with you. I'm with
I
you.
said, did you know I was a
I'm with you.
Delta?
Mm-hmm.
He didn't hear me.
What about the deltas?
I said,
What
did you
about them?
know I was a Delta?
Did I know you was a delta? Yeah, I knew. You told me.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
oh, did I?
Mm-hmm.
I want to make that just make that connection there too.
Yes.
So
Yes.
moving on.
Yes. Yeah. You
But
told me. Yeah.
the Dunn family and my family, uh, I saw the other day on Facebook that Larry had. How many of you have a friend have had a friend for 50 years?
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote on it or more,
That's
like
right.
you,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
our families have a very deep connection. Uh, so how do you feel, Keith? Tell me your take on. We're gonna go move towards a little bit of the racist, the what's going in Louisville, since you're here. How do you feel about the protest? Are we making some moves? I know we just won a gigantic war the other day, but I think we still have some battles to go. I don't
Mhm.
know if I can even call it the war, but I know we have some battles to go uh,
Yeah.
in the healing process of our country, and
Right.
we need to find some solutions to keep so that our black men and women are not just um, their lives are not just snuffed out
Mhm.
because of the color of their skin. We've got to get past that some kind of way. But
Uh,
we can't get past it until we have what the show Guess Who's Coming to Dinner is
right.
supposed to do, until we address that.
You're
It has to be addressed. We cannot just say, well, I really don't, people used to say, well, I don't talk about religion or politics. Well, we're not going to talk about religion, and we don't have to talk about politics. Let's talk about race. you
mm-hmm.
know, just
Mm-hmm.
just be
Mm-hmm.
real about it, because um, we have a problem, and it just didn't start. It just has bubbled over. Anytime the television shows you black men and women dying on TV, we've got to move from that.
It's not a
I
sprint.
did ask you a
This is
question,
not a
Keith.
sprint. This is
Huh?
not a sprint. This is not.
No,
This isn't a
no, it's
sprint.
not a sprint.
It's not. It's not a sprint. This is not
Turn
a
your mic up
sprint.
some.
It's a
I can't
long
hear
distance
you
journey.
too well.
Okay, it's a long distance journey, and it's
Okay,
not a sprint. It's just part of it right now, and
right.
it's step by step. And um, obviously, some injustices have been prevailed, have been shown, and then
Mm-hmm.
therefore these young folks ain't taking it. They ain't taking this stuff
No,
no more, you know.
no,
And but we still have to. It's like a wild horse, though. You still gotta keep your reins on it to make sure that they know which way to go, which way to go on the track. You know what I
right,
mean? So
right.
that that's all it is. It's just not a sprint. This is a journey, and it's one step at a time. That's the way I feel about it.
Okay,
You know,
okay. Well, it
does that make
sure is
sense?
a journey. Well, I was just able to exhale. I
Mm,
felt like,
Mm-hmm.
that all the air had been almost sucked out of the universe from not
Mm-hmm.
knowing from one day to the next what was
Yeah.
happening to my people,
mhm,
what
Mm-hmm.
was happening to the rights that we'd fought for uh, back in the 60s,
mm.
uh,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and that we're still fighting though for those same rights today because some of them have been rolled back. So
Hello, Louisville. Guess who's coming to dinner?
How did those first NCOs like your stepfather? How did they deal with these things?
right,
Can give us some lessons, and then see, and I have to stay in my lane. All right,
okay,
I'm staying in education and history. I can't step outside into the political realm
right.
because I don't know Louisville that well. But I can tell you that I keep track, and Keith and I talk just about every day at 5 o'clock about what's happening on the ground, and that's what I would offer from my perspective: a study of the history, using education much more than you do now to lead both sides to
Right.
a common understanding on where they have to go next.
Really, because you've got a point. You make a true a valid point there that whatever we were going through from, I guess you would say, you said 42
Mm-hmm.
up through and to busing,
Yeah,
okay? Because some people only remember busing.
yeah,
Some people only remember maybe uh, the civil rights movement. I remember marching out um, in Iroquois area for open housing.
yeah,
Because when we started to move, like you all moved to 23rd and Oak,
right.
and my family we moved down on Cecil Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
Now, that's a big jump. We made a stopover in Portland, but it was only for a minute. And then we moved to 23rd and 22nd and Chestnut in
Okay.
that big green house that's still there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because I went to St. Salisbury. It's a school that's now a senior citizens home, which they made most of the older elementary schools senior citizens homes. Um, and then on down to Cecil Avenue.
Mm-hmm.
So you're right, Ken, that it would be important because I think everybody saw something different
Yeah,
and everybody remembers it differently. Their perception that um, right before busing, because then now I'm not a part of busing. I was able to walk to my high school.
right.
And all those students that live within 1-2 miles of Shawnee High School, none of them go to that school,
Mm-hmm.
which is now the school system is getting ready to maybe try to have this open enrollment for next year where they can choose to go to a school in their neighborhoods,
Yes, ma'am. That makes a lot of sense.
and I think they need to go to the schools in their neighborhoods. There's a lot of socialization, and I think some of the disconnect that our youth are having, maybe because that's causing some of the violence
Yeah,
that's here in the city, is because they don't have the same kinds of connections that we had with our peers, as far as simple as just going to school,
yeah,
walking home from school, walking to school. You meet up at a certain corner and you wait for them till they get there. You know what I'm saying? We had, and then it was uh then it was more of a camaraderie because you go to the same school.
Schools, the education piece is very, very significant, Janice, as you're saying. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
we all, when we think about growing up, we think about, St. Augustine, we think about Shawnee High
Yeah.
School, I think about Valley High School, I think about Fort Knox High School, I think about St. Benedict. These were all, those schools were the centers of our universe.
Right.
So, and that's where all of our friends were. That's where we felt uh, we felt at home. All right.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I sort of I continue to say that the education piece can help a great deal because you can discuss things in an education environment that you cannot discuss in
In
a
a social
spirit environment. You can't. That's right.
or a social environment.
That's right. You can't.
Everybody can't handle it.
That's right. However, if you structure something where you're bringing groups together and there's an agreed upon professor or a teacher who's going
Mm-hmm.
to lead things through, and people understand what the objectives are, what they're going to try to do, and I think you can do that because in an education environment, people will be able to express themselves more freely, I think, than any other kind of environment. And
Right.
Dunn says, hey, just take advantage of what we have already in place. There are teachers already out there. There are schools already out there. These could be natural meeting places to do some of these things.
Right.
There are a lot of people who've written books who can help guide. Bring the clergy in.
Yeah.
There's
We
some
need a true round table.
Yes, ma'am. And the thing about it is, do it in an education environment. All right. So
Okay.
the effort is to study it and to come to solutions or
Right.
recommendations. You
Right.
can't fix it necessarily in the education environment, but you can make recommendations to fix it. You see,
Right.
I'm
Right.
not. That's why I'm not saying that the education piece is the end all to be all, but it is a
It
way.
plays a role.
It can. See, and I say to my students all the time as they tell me, "Hey, Dr. Dunn, we didn't know anything about Marfa Point. We didn't know We didn't know that things were so bad during Vietnam.
Yeah.
But we can see how it has an impact on what happens in the Marine Corps today.
Right. Right.
And so I'm very pleased to see the results of taking a bold step in implementing a course that talks about these things and doesn't and we don't have to skirt around any issues. The students can say it how they want
Right.
because it's
Speak
an
their minds.
education
Yeah.
environment. So that's what I say. And I just know that we as a people have always put a lot into our education systems and teaching our children. This is just another extension where we can get education involved. We can get University of Louisville involved. We can get Simmons involved. We get
Right.
the University involved, and we can. And I'm not on the ground in Louisville, all right. But I love my home.
But you can come and speak to us.
Oh yes, ma'am. I love.
Okay. You can come. Look, I know your phone number. Now, I
Keep
tell you about it. I know your phone number.
yes, ma'am. Keep.
Well, I want you to tell me this so I can say it correctly.
Okay.
Uh, do I say Dr. Colonel Dunn or Colonel Dr. Dunn? What's the correct way? Doctor first?
Well, here's what I would say. You can call me Kenny. All right.
I'm gonna call you Kenny, but I mean you have a title, and
Yeah.
I'm very proud of your title, and I'm sure you are.
Well, my students call me Dr. Dunn and call me Dr. Dunn at work.
Okay,
It's,
Dr. Dunn.
you know.
I like Dr. Dunn. That's kind of cool.
Well,
I like calling you Colonel.
yes, ma'am. And then I'm also the
Yeah.
colonel. So either one of them, they're almost interchangeable, except in the academic environment where students are military.
Okay.
It's not. I don't think it's good for them to have to call me colonel, but I think it's better for them to call me doctor.
Doctor. Okay. All right.
As
I feel
opposed
you.
to colonel. And then
Well, I want to say, as your sister, as your neighbor, as your friend, I want to thank you for coming on the show. Because see, to me, you're the kind of person that has a voice, even though you're someplace else.
Mhm.
That you're the pride of Louisville.
Well, I'm
to
proud
me.
of Louisville. Let me tell you that. I'm
Yeah.
proud to be a native of Louisville, Kentucky. You
You
know.
are what they say. It's a little just like the nightclub. You are a Louisvillian, baby. But
Well,
I want to say thank you so much. I thought Brother Rodney would be able to join us before you got off.
well, he probably will.
Okay. But
Here's,
no, because I'm getting ready to go.
okay, here's the last thing I'm going to say. All right.
Okay, wonderful. Sum
The
it up for me.
I'm going to sum it up. All right. You know, guess who's coming to dinner? You're looking for solutions for our
Right.
hometown, and that's why I'm so proud of what you're doing. You know, when I got wind of it on LinkedIn, I said, I know Janice Carter Miller. You know, I know her, and I have been looking for a way to help my hometown.
Okay.
You know, I watch Reverend Cosby every Sunday on YouTube. You know,
Okay.
out of St. Stephen's. You know, he's a civil activist as much
Hmm.
as anybody is. Uh, I have I've begun to reach out to him and say, listen, I'd like to come to Simmons. You know, I'm not sure what we would do, but I'd just like to get in one of your discussions sometimes. Because I am, like I said, I'm an educator and an historian. But here's what I think. All right, in my heart of hearts, Louisville is a wonderful, wonderful town. It really is. Uh, I love every aspect of growing up in Louisville. Beecher Terrace,
Yes.
the West End,
Yes.
Valley Station. You know,
Yeah.
it was. I don't have any horror stories to talk
No.
about my hometown.
We had wonderful
Yeah.
youth experiences growing up in this city.
And when I left Louisville in 1970 to go to the Naval Academy, I was surprised how self confident I was going into that environment. You know, we graduated 9 black students out of 850. All right, but
Wow.
it wasn't a big deal.
It wasn't a big deal.
It
Okay.
wasn't a big deal. 9 out of 850. Okay. Now, what I will say is this: if you want to know, all right, what it was like being a black serviceman, then read my book because it's a journal and it takes from 1992 to 1995, and I just talk about daily experiences. You know, I talk about my the only discrimination or bias I had was probably with my peers, other lieutenant colonels. Nothing from the seniors, nothing from the juniors, but my peers. You know, they seem to give me the cold shoulder from time to time. And I said it in my book. A lot of times being a Marine officer is like being invited to supper, but you eat in the kitchen. Okay.
Ah. Okay.
So that's what I said. And I said in my book, I'm not making up anything.
Yeah.
But looking ahead, Miss Janice, if the city of Louisville would take a little bit more advantage of those people who have seen this before and give lessons learned like yourself, all
Right.
right? You know,
Right.
those of us who are approaching 70 years old, the baby boomers, we have something to offer.
Hmm.
Okay. But the youngsters have a different way, as Keith said, it's a different landscape. But there may be lessons learned from our time that can help this time. And you can do that through education.
I think the word I just that came to mind when you said that the things that we can share with them
Yes, ma'am.
is a little bit of how to be a little more use a little bit more finesse.
Yes,
Because see, we grew up with finesse.
absolutely.
We grew up with finesse. We knew how to do problem solving. We had we were passed down some mother wit out of this world.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, I was able to go from Beecher Terrace, all right, to St. Agnes, which was all white students,
Hmm.
to St. Benedict was integrated, to Fort Knox, all right, to Valley, which had recently integrated, and I never had a problem.
Okay.
And going to the Naval Academy, and it speaks to what you said, finesse, thinking through what it is you need to do
Right.
to succeed in whatever that environment is. And those are the lessons that we can teach our youngsters.
Okay. I thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you.
All my best to the family.
Okay.
You know, I told your wife last time I saw. I said, I know what y'all call me. See, I was this family's Whitney Houston. I said I ain't mad at y'all at all. Look, I love you. Take care of yourself. Be safe. And as this progresses, if there comes a time that I'm doing something that I think you could be a part of and instrumental in helping us to find some solutions,
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to reach out to you.
All right. Now, and I hope that you get a chance to talk to Rodney, because Rodney's very wise. He's much wiser than I am. And continue the conversation. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to
And
hit
then
Brother
eventually,
Rodney up.
and eventually maybe get Larry. So that'll be great.
Oh, well, Larry's a whole, he's a single conversation interview.
That's true.
He'd have to have that all to himself.
Yeah, he's got that memory.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So I want to say thank you for your service. We're proud of you, our native Louis Vegan, and send me the information on where they can purchase the book,
Sure. Amazon.
and I'll put it on. I do Jantastic Productions on Facebook and YouTube,
Okay.
and I also have, for those people that have a uh, Roku channel or
Right.
stick,
Right.
I have Jantastic Productions on there as well.
Mhm.
But I'll put it on my social media so people can see it and they can know where to go get the book.
Hey, listen.
Thank you so much.
Yes, ma'am. We all love America. We love our hometown, and I appreciate the things that you're doing for the great city of Louisville. So anything I can do to help, I'll be glad to do it.
I'll remember that. Take care of yourself, Ken.
All right.
All right, darling.
All
Bye-bye.
right.
Wow. Dr. Dunn, Colonel Dunn, Beecher Terrace, pride of the city. This has been a full Veterans Day conversation with two of the four Dunn brothers. I was trying to see if Rodney was going to show up, and didn't hear back from Larry, but that's all right. I'll catch up with him. I just want to say to Louisville and all our veterans in the city of Louisville and all our veterans all over the country, thank you for your service. I want to make a personal acknowledgement. I did one earlier today to one of my family members that is who was also a vet, who is also a vet, and that would be John Monroe and Sonny Monroe. Oh, and Jimmy Carradine. Lord, I keep going. These are some of my relatives that are military, but all the military in the city. We thank you for your service. And I won't be here this Friday because I told you I have things to do. It's my wedding anniversary and we're going to celebrate. So from that point on, all I can say is bon appetit. Guess who's coming to dinner?